medicine helps slow down a patient's cognitive decline.
We look beyond the text. We give you context.
Is China preparing for a war in the Himalayas? Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Here's a look at what's lined up for you on the show tonight. Our cover story tonight is about a relationship that often makes headlines, not for the best reasons, though. Tonight, we ask a question. Is Pakistan betraying China for the United States of America? We tell you why the latest developments point towards a huge shift. A shift that carries far-reaching implications for the entire region and for the rest of the world. We piece together the developments and get you the bigger picture. Also on the show for you tonight, the widening rift between the US and Israel continues to spark speculation about what's brewing behind the scenes. We get the latest reactions. We also get you the updates on the Indian Parliament security breach and ask questions that need to be answered. Oprah Winfrey's huge revelation about her weight loss journey poses questions about the issue of weight loss and how it affects each one of us. Can technology and artificial intelligence resurrect the dead? And should that even happen? The age-old debate about bringing back the dead. Is Pakistan dumping big brother China for old brother America? Will America resurrect its military bases in Pakistan, packed with powerful drones in order to target and destroy terror hideouts in Taliban Afghanistan? That is what the Pakistan army, once again helpless against an enemy, wants. Just have a look at the recent developments. Pakistan's army chief, Asim Munir, is in Washington this week. Now, he is not, of course, just another army chief from just another country. He is, after all, Pakistan's army chief and hence the puppeteer who plays his country's government on a string. So what he says and what he does is more important than what Pakistan's Prime Minister says or does. What is General Munir's mission in Washington, you ask? He wants not just military help from the United States, he wants Americans to do the fighting on behalf of Pakistan. I'm talking about the various jihadi organizations that have found sanctuary in Afghanistan under the Taliban regime. I'm talking about the Taliban itself, which wants to spread its tentacles over Pakistan. However, General Asim Munir's trip coming at a time when ties between the US and Pakistan have moved from firm foundations to shaky grounds. So this is what is on the agenda. First and foremost, he is looking for military alliance against Taliban and Taliban-inspired and Taliban-protected terrorists who are causing havoc in Pakistan. The Pakistan army has become helpless, to say the least, as Tuesday's terror attack in Dera Khan proves. General Munir is arguing that terrorist outfits like the Tehreek-e-Taliban and Islamic State Khorasan pose a threat not only to Pakistan but also to the US and the entire world. That's a bit ironic, isn't it? Has the great general of the Pakistan army forgotten how he has armed, financed and nurtured terror organizations that have been waging a continuous war against India? Why is he crying wolf when so many anti-Indian wolves were born and bred by him? It is clear that desperation has driven him towards American arms. We use that term as an effective pun. The Taliban-centric terrorists, after all, are now targeting Pakistan as they see an opportunity to create conditions for a further radicalization of the Pakistani state. Taliban is biting the hands that once fed it. It is a well-known fact that Pakistan gave sanctuary to the Quetta Shura of Taliban and to the Sirajuddin faction and then helped both to come to power in 2021 once the Americans fled Kabul. Now, that was 2 years ago. And within this time, Afghanistan has made Pakistan-based radicals into hardened militants. Pakistan's repeated warnings to Kabul to stop this has fallen on the proverbial deaf ears. Taliban offshoots continue to bleed Pakistani forces, case in point being the suicide bombing on Pakistan Army base, which killed 23 people. Taliban offshoot, the Tehreek-e-Jihad Pakistan, claimed responsibility for the attack. Now, Pakistan wants America's support to fight terror. On Wednesday, the Pakistan Army chief met with the US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. According to the Pentagon statement, they discussed recent regional security developments and potential areas for bilateral defense cooperation. The US withdrew troops from Afghanistan over 2 years ago, yet it maintains a beyond visual range capability in the war-torn country. This means that the US can execute precision strikes on targets posing security threats. Now, remember, in July 2022, a US drone eliminated the former Al-Qaeda leader, Ayman al-Zawahiri, in Kabul. The question now arises, will the US extend its assistance to Pakistan in similar operations? On Tuesday, Pakistan's acting information minister, Jan Ashokzai, posted a series of his recommendations on platform X, formerly Twitter. In response to Tuesday's deadly attack, he suggested a number of counter-terrorism measures. He suggested that Pakistan should provide US drone bases so that it can crack down on terror havens in Afghanistan. Ashokzai had said that the Dera Ismail Khan attack had crossed all national security red lines of Pakistan, quote-unquote. In response, he says, Pakistan must consider reprisal attacks in Afghanistan. He said the attacks should include, quote-unquote, special targeted operations, airstrikes, border closure with Afghanistan, return of Afghan refugees. He added that Pakistan should offer US drone bases to target Al-Qaeda and other militant sanctuaries in Afghanistan. Now, interestingly, Ashokzai later deleted that post. The Afghan Taliban always rejecting Pakistan's accusations, yet Pakistan, you see, has been fighting the Taliban offshoot, the Tehreek-e-Taliban, since it unilaterally broke the ceasefire deal with Pakistan government in 2022. The TTP gained momentum following the rise to power of the Afghan Taliban in the year 2021. And according to data released by the Pakistan Institute for Conflict and Security Studies, the country has experienced a 34% surge in anti-state violence just last month. Notably, Pakistan has recorded 599 terror attacks up to November this year. That's an 81% increase as compared to the same period in 2022. But if Pakistan cozies up to America, then where does it leave its big brother, China? You see, China is on a confrontation course with America and will not take kindly to any perception of betrayal by Pakistan. Recently, Pakistan has signaled a desire to strike a more balanced relationship with the US and China, its key ally. But such a balancing act, you see, does not work if your strategic feet wobble. What price will America demand for such support if it agrees to give it? We don't have the answers right now. What we do know is that Pakistan's terror problem is real and could threaten the Pakistan state. Neither China nor America can help Pakistan if Pakistan cannot help itself. And since we are discussing betrayals, here's another question buzzing in Beijing. Who tipped off Xi Jinping about Qin Gang's treachery? You know, the former Chinese foreign minister who has been missing for over 5 months now. And in these 5 months, there has been a lot of speculation about his disappearance, about the possible reasons behind why he was removed. Was it because he betrayed China? Was it because he sold Chinese nuclear secrets to Western intel agencies? Now, if the answer is yes, then the question is, who tipped off the Chinese regime about his shenanigans? Now, a few days back, reports claimed that the tip-off about Qin Gang's secret dealings came from Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister, Rudenko Andrei Yurevich. That it was him, that he apparently informed the Chinese President Xi Jinping about the treachery. 5 days on, we've received more details of what actually went on behind the scenes regarding Qin Gang's disappearance. According to a report by Nikkei Asia, this disappearance is closely linked to the prevailing geopolitical dynamics, especially the Russia-Ukraine war. You see, in recent months, China's actions have indicated that it is shifting its stance on the Russia-Ukraine war. As a communist ally, it was supposed to fully support Russia's offensive in Ukraine. But in May this year, things changed when China tried brokering peace between Russia and Ukraine. You see, at the end of May 2023, former Chinese ambassador to Russia, Li Hui, visited Ukraine with a huge delegation. This visit took place as Ukraine was preparing to launch a counter-offensive against Russia. Immediately after the visit, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky traveled to Japan. Interestingly, he flew on a plane borrowed from the French government. It flew a considerable distance over mainland China. And reports say these developments likely frustrated Russia. Moscow did not like how the geopolitical landscape was actually shifting. It perhaps even grew fearful that China, a reliable ally, could be changing its basic stance and supporting Ukraine in the name of promoting peace. And this fear apparently drove Russia to undertake a big gamble. It decided to drop a big informational bomb on Beijing. The subject of the information being Qin Gang. Reports say Russia informed China that Qin had become pro-US during his tenure as ambassador to the United States. Moscow alleged that during this time, Qin could have passed on internal information to Washington and might just have turned into an American spy. And this tip-off likely came with some evidence. That's not even all. Russia also apparently provided evidence to China about Qin's extramarital affair with a Chinese TV presenter. The affair, which was revealed to the world by Western media, attracted a lot of attention, almost embarrassing China. The report said that Qin even had a child with the TV presenter with the help of a surrogate mother in America. So what happened next, you ask? Well, Beijing likely followed up on Russia's tip-off and found credible evidence against Qin Gang. And soon, he disappeared. China returned to its pro-Moscow stance. Not just this, it even stopped publicly expressing its intention to mediate a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. In return for Beijing's change of heart, Putin showed a gesture of appreciation. He visited China in October to attend a global conference, marking the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative. So at the end of the day, Russia's informational salvo worked. Not only did it end the career of China's top diplomat, but it also turned the global political tide in its favor. It also affected China's stance towards the United States and triggered a major domestic political firestorm in China. Now, that said, this is all based on speculation. We might never really get to know what actually happened behind the scenes. The ongoing rift between the US and Israel under Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is widening, but what really happened? Things were looking good, Following the Hamas attacks on the 7th of October, President Biden held Israel very close, perhaps more than any American president before. But now things are looking different. And why is that? Let's break it down for you. During a recent vote, the United Nations General Assembly overwhelmingly supported a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. Out of the nations present, 153 voted in favor of the resolution, with 10 opposing and 23 abstaining. America's decision to vote against it placed it at odds with the global consensus and its closest allies, including Australia, Canada, New Zealand. These developments signify a pivotal moment in the US-Israel relationship and have significant implications for President Biden's domestic support. As the 2024 US elections approach, the vote came just hours after a tense conversation between President Biden and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, during which Biden warned Netanyahu that Israel will lose global support due to its quote-unquote indiscriminate bombardment in Gaza. Now, this language was uncharacteristically blunt. President Biden's criticism of Israel, particularly concerning the post-war governance of Gaza, marks a significant departure from the traditionally steadfast US support. Contrasting this stance, Prime Minister Netanyahu has expressed skepticism about the Palestinian Authority's ability to govern Gaza effectively, advocating an alternative authority to oversee the region. Biden has gone on to describe Netanyahu's government as the most conservative in Israel's history, specifically mentioning National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, a notably contentious figure. And this tension, however, is not new. Biden's interactions with Netanyahu dating back to his tenure as a senator, characterized by fundamental disagreements, yet mutual respect, despite divergent views. The ongoing war in Gaza has resulted in a severe humanitarian crisis, and this comes amid reports of increased diseases, collapsing health infrastructure. Meanwhile, the U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is in Jerusalem for crucial talks. There is a clear push from the U.S. for strategic re-evaluation. Sullivan's agenda will focus on discussions about ending the war and transitioning to less intense military operations. And in this scenario, the stance of the international community, as seen with the UN General Assembly's resolution for a ceasefire, is crucial. The growing rift between the US and Israel bringing to light a broader dynamic, testing long-standing alliances against the backdrop of evolving global attitudes and domestic political compulsions. Let's now shift our focus to India. It's been 24 hours since the Indian Parliament was breached. Investigation into that incident is underway as more details about the attack emerge. Just to start with what the investigators have confirmed, they've confirmed the backgrounds of the 4 attackers involved. The 2 individuals who set off the smoke cans inside the Parliament have been identified. 26-year-old Sagar Sharma from Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. 34-year-old D. Monoranjan from Mysuru, Karnataka. And besides these two more people were apprehended outside the Parliament, remember. And they have been identified as 25-year-old Amol Shinde from Latur, Maharashtra, 37-year-old Neelam Devi from Hisar, Haryana. And besides these 4, there were 2 more individuals involved in that plot. They have been identified as Lalit Jha, and Vishal Sharma, alias Vicky. Investigators saying that the accused stayed in their respective houses in Gurugram before they carried out the breach. Both these individuals are currently absconding. And here's what else we know. Investigators saying that security agencies have not found connections with any terror groups so far, but they have registered a case under UAPA sections 16 and 18. Another case has been registered under IPC sections 120B, 452, 153, 186 and 353. These clauses pertaining to punishments for acts of terror, criminal conspiracy, rioting, obstructing public functions and assault on public servants. Now, if we speak of how the plan was hatched, reports say the incident was well coordinated and meticulously planned. The 6 individuals have known each other for 4 years and hatched this plan together. One of the intruders apparently entered the parliament with colored crackers in his shoes. And before the attack, they even reconnoitered the parliament complex as a part of their planning, and all 4 of them wanted to go inside, but only 2 got the passes to enter. One of the attackers, Neelam Devi, was also involved in the controversial farmers' protest of 2020, but she is not linked to any political party. Now, all said and done, the big question is, what motivated this attack? Now, during the questioning, the 4 accused apparently told the cops that they conducted the attack because they were concerned about issues like unemployment and the recent violence which unfolded in Manipur. They say that they wanted to catch the attention of the parliamentarians and start a debate on the issues. In fact, most of the accused are themselves unemployed and got in touch with each other through a social media platform. One of them was an engineering graduate who was helping his father with farming. One of them had failed to clear an army recruitment examination, and another one drove an e-rickshaw. The families of the accused saying that while they were despondent with these issues, they were unaware that they were going to engage in such an act. Whatever be the case, the biggest takeaway from this story is the lack of security preparedness. I mean, the parliament of any country is expected to be a security fortress, the most secure building in a country. It is the temple of our democracy and a beacon of the strength and power of its citizens. And this attack raises questions over the security system, which is otherwise very robust. One can only wonder the kind of turmoil this attack would have unleashed had the attackers been in possession of dangerous substances. So we must ask, is it time for an entire overhaul of the security structure? Period leaves. Even those who did not have much to say on this issue have an opinion today, courtesy Smriti Irani. She is India's Minister of Women and Child Development. And this is what she had to say on period leaves.
As a menstruating woman, I can very particularly in this house say, menstruation and a menstrual cycle is not a handicap. Neither it's a natural part of a woman's life journey.
Now, Irani claims this is her personal belief. Sure, but this personal opinion was shared in the parliament in the capacity of a lawmaker and the Minister of Women and Child Development. Does Irani's personal opinion represent what the women of India feel? Let me point you to some menstrual hygiene survey 2023 conducted by a brand called Everteen. This survey found that 73% of women want the provision of period leaves. Let me repeat that. 73% are in favor of period leaves. Around 10,000 women took part in that survey. They were from Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Pune, Ahmedabad, Lucknow, Patna. In short, women in urban India want to rest it out on days when the period pain gets to them. I'm guessing it's no different in suburban and rural India. Menstrual cramps are universal. Smriti Irani says the pain is not handicapping. It is a fact that sometimes women pass out from period pain. That is how intense the pain is. How many of you have heard of endometriosis? Women suffering from this condition experience severe period cramps. 10% of women of reproductive age have endometriosis. That's 247 million girls and women globally. Nearly 42 million girls and women in India alone. They deserve a day off, as do the rest. Menstruation is painful as is, and unlike what sanitary napkin ads show you, having access to hygiene products does not solve the problem. It's just a start. Apart from cramping, many women also feel fatigued, nauseous. Many have mood swings. So why stop them from taking a rest today? And how is it too tall an ask? In February, Spain became Europe's first country to pass a law allowing employees to take paid period leaves. Indonesia passed a similar law in 2003. Women can take up to 2 days of paid period leaves per month. In South Korea, women are entitled to period leaves. Same with Taiwan. Japan's period pain law goes back to 1947. But in India, we are still debating period leaves. Our female lawmakers are opposing paid period leaves. And why is that? Are women in Japan or Indonesia handicapped by the pain? Or are Indian women superhuman? Are we immune to the pain? Or have we in India normalized women's suffering? Here's one argument that often comes up. Why do women today need a period leave when mothers and grandmothers have for ages been working at home and fields through their menstrual cycles? You know what? My heart goes out to those women who had to swallow their pain or were ostracized or asked to sleep and eat outside their homes during their menstrual cycles. Back then, there wasn't enough awareness. Thank God times are changing, and thank God menstruation and conversation on menstruation is no longer a taboo. So then, what better time to stop making archaic and absolutely irrelevant arguments? What better time to stop normalizing and celebrating suffering? Suppressing pain and neglecting her body does not make a woman more professional, a better employee, or a better mother. Coming to office on bad days cannot be a benchmark for promotion. Sadly, it has become one. And do you know what happens in the process? Women in India end up taking painkillers, over-the-counter drugs, the likes of Meftol SPAs. You will find this tablet in the first aid box of every office. Turns out this tablet is dangerous. The government of India cautioned people against Meftol just a few days ago. The IPC, or the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, warned of adverse effects, the likes of eosinophilia, when the body produces too many white blood cells of a certain type. This medicine can also trigger systemic symptoms syndrome. Isn't it ironical that India's Minister of Women and Child Development is now making a case against paid period leaves? And what is the point of resisting change? Who is it supposed to help? This is not helping a woman in the workspace. Pain and performance are inversely proportional. Let me just read out what the department-related Parliament Standing Committee on Personnel, Public Grievances, Law and Justice had noted in its report. Menstruation debilitates most women and affects their productivity and performance at the workplace. The committee recommended period leaves or half-paid leave per month for women. I just want to set the record clear. Normalizing suffering is not feminism. It also has nothing to do with gender equality. The women in parliament are in the position to work towards real equality, to change the mindset. The survey I told you about, while 73% of the women wanted period leaves, over 80% did not want paid period leaves. Do you know why? Because they thought it will stop managers from hiring female employees. And this is a concern that Smriti Irani also raised when she said that paid period leaves will come in the way of equal opportunity. But here's the thing, she is in a position to remove the hurdle, to ensure that women do not lose out because of a much needed day off. Bring about policies that help women perform better, that help her break the glass ceiling and not break her health in the process. Take the center stage in the parliament and with pride tell the world that yes, We women have our bad days, days when we need to take rest, days when we experience mood swings, but the very next day, we bounce back stronger. We show up as better managers, stronger athletes, more focused researchers, aerospace engineers, committed homemakers, path-breaking legislators, courageous journalists. That's what being a woman is all about. Our professional and reproductive graphs run parallel, but we know how to strike a balance. Period. India's vaccine king Adar Poonawalla has closed the deal to buy London's most expensive house of 2023. The billionaire has splashed out a whopping £138 million for the house, a 1920s mansion that will be acquired by the UK subsidiary of his company, the Serum Institute of India. So what do you get for £138 million? Here's a detailed report.
London's most expensive house has been taken off the market, and the buyer is none other than the vaccine king of India, Adar Poonawalla. The Serum Institute CEO has just bought the keys to the sprawling Aberconway house. The mansion is located in London's most exclusive Mayfair district. The billionaire has shelled out a whopping £138 million sterling. The price tag makes this house the second most expensive ever sold in London. In January 2020, the most expensive deal was transacted when 280 Rutland Gate was sold for a record-breaking £210 million sterling. With this, Poonawalla has outspent other billionaires, including steel magnate Lakshmi Mittal and Reliance's Mukesh Ambani. So what do you get for £138 million sterling? Reports say that the most expensive house in London comes with 13 bedrooms, a 65-foot entrance hall, a chandelier-lit ballroom, a massage room, a steam room and a secret private garden. Now the Poonawallas reportedly have no intentions to relocate permanently, but reports say the house will be used as a base for the company and for his family during their visits to the United Kingdom. Poonawalla, who was one of Times' 100 most influential people of 2021, has bought the house following multi-million-pound investments in vaccine research and manufacturing facilities near Oxford. The Aberconway house will reportedly be acquired by Serum Life Sciences, a UK subsidiary of the Serum Institute, making it essentially a company guest house. Poonawalla has bought the mansion after first renting it in 2021. The rent, an eye-popping $69,000 a week. It broke records and it made headlines. The Serum Institute CEO has bought the house from Dominika Kulczyk, the daughter of late Polish billionaire Jan Kulczyk, who was once Poland's richest man, and given how the British capital city's property prices have soared recently, Kulczyk has made a big profit on this. She bought the property 3 years ago for £57 million sterling. The ultra-rich have been hard at work, picking up everything from mega apartments to sprawling mansions. Here's some of them. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
A show of hands now. Who all have heard of Oprah Winfrey? Now, I assume most of you have. The celebrity talk show host, media mogul, entrepreneur, life coach. She's famous for wearing multiple hats. And why are we talking about her tonight? Not for her power, not for her influence or her wealth, not for her impact on women. We are talking about Oprah Winfrey tonight because of her dramatic weight loss transformation. Now, did that get your attention? Because I mentioned dramatic weight loss. The year 2023 has been about war, 2 wars, but strangely, it also has been a year when dramatic, extreme weight loss has been the subject of a majority of conversations. And Oprah Winfrey is the latest name to be added to that list of extreme transformations. Oprah has made a confession. She has admitted to taking weight loss medication to help manage her weight. In an interview, the 70-year-old media mogul says that she has battled body shaming and body image issues for decades, and that too in the public eye. She says she is done with feeling shame. She admits that she used weight loss medications as a tool to lose weight. Oprah Winfrey says that she is taking a medically approved prescription of a drug. Since her knee surgery in 2021, she says that she has made big changes to her lifestyle. Her last meal is at 4 p.m. daily. She drinks a gallon of water a day. She eats according to a strict diet plan, also uses a weight loss drug. She does not name the drug, so we shouldn't speculate. But let's just be clear. We are not judging Oprah Winfrey's life choices, and we shouldn't. She has experience, influence, power, money, and all that brings the best medical care that the world can offer. So Oprah Winfrey, I would assume, has made an informed choice, not an easy one. As most assume, when you mention a weight loss drug, in fact, she admits that she is using this weight loss drug after attending a conversation with weight loss experts. So we would hope that she has weighed the pros and cons here. Now, here's the thing about a big celebrity making such an admission. Her followers may be tempted to follow suit. They may think their hard-earned steps, their fitness goals, their nutrition choices are all futile because a weight loss drug could be the answer to their prayers, to look a certain way, to achieve a certain body type. That also in no time. But will they have the same access to money, medical advice, doctors as Oprah Winfrey? Just think about that. This conversation around weight loss is happening at a time when the controversy around weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy has made headlines. What are they? Ozempic is a drug used to treat diabetes. The US FDA first approved it in 2017 to treat the illness later. In 2021, it approved the active ingredient in Ozempic, known as semaglutide. To treat obesity since then, multiple celebrities have either confessed to using them or have been accused of using them for dramatic and quick weight loss. Elon Musk has admitted to using it to look fit and ripped. Andy Cohen has posted about it on TikTok. Hashtag Ozempic has been viewed more than 273 million times. So do you understand what I mean when I say that there is a lot of buzz around weight loss drugs? These drugs are known to cause nausea and dehydration. Doctors have highlighted that these are not miracle drugs for weight loss, which is why the FDA has not cleared them for weight loss. It is immaterial what Oprah Winfrey does to lose weight, or any celebrity for that matter. You should not be influenced or impressed. If you want to lose weight, eat a balanced diet. Embrace an active lifestyle. A drug should not be the answer. Let's now tell you about the Russian President Vladimir Putin's marathon press conference that was held earlier today. This is a key annual event providing unique views into Russia's policies and the president's opinions. Our next report getting you the key takeaways.
Russian President Vladimir Putin's annual press conference was held today at Moscow's Kostny Dvor. This session, named Results of the Year, reportedly saw over 2 million questions submitted by journalists and the public. The edition saw the direct line with the people of Russia and the annual news conference clubbed into a single event. Now let's start with some context. Following a year-long break due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, Putin returned to the stage amid increasing global tensions. This comes at a time when Ukraine's counter-offensive is slowing and international support diminishing. In this setting, Putin appears to be making a bold political statement. Let's now dive into some key points from the annual presser. To begin with, Putin asserted that the main task for Russia remains ensuring its sovereignty.
I've spoken about it many times, but repeating does not hurt. For such a country as Russia, it is not possible to exist without sovereignty. It will just cease to exist, at least in a way it is today, in a way it has existed for 1,000 years. So the main thing is to strengthen the sovereignty.
The Russian president's position on Ukraine remains steadfast. He asserted that peace will only be achieved once Russia's objectives, that is de-Nazification and demilitarization of Ukraine, are met with no compromise.
There will be peace when we achieve our goals that you've just mentioned. Now let's return to these goals. They have not changed. I'll remind you of what we talked about then. The de-Nazification of Ukraine, its demilitarization, its neutral status.
Emphasizing on demilitarization, that is what he said.
As for demilitarization, if they don't want to come to an agreement, then we are forced to take other measures, including military ones. Today Ukraine produces practically nothing. They are trying to save something, but they produced almost nothing. Everything is brought from other countries for free. But this freebie may end someday, and apparently it is ending little by little.
Putin, without directly mentioning the Wagner group, said that he'll ensure that former mercenaries are respected. The Russian president even added that he knows people from private military companies who died fighting for Russia's interests. During the conference, Putin accused the West of deteriorating relations, claiming that Russia is a victim in global politics and forced into its current path.
Regarding normalization of relations, it does not just depend on us. It was not us who spoiled these relations. It was them who spoiled the relations with us. They have always been trying to push us back, neglecting our interests. Under these conditions, when the US planned and organized, and Europe is standing silently and watching or even dance along, how can we build relations with them? We don't mind. It was not us who cut them off. But they are pretending that they don't know or remember anything. They just said a couple of times that they were just pretending when they signed Minsk agreements and were not going to implement anything.
Putin said that Russia is ready for contacts with European leaders if they are interested. The Russian president also stressed the importance to maintain United Nations mechanisms like the right to veto.
As for the United States, we are ready to build relations with them as well. We believe that the United States is an important and necessary country in the world, but this imperial, absolutely imperial policy hinders them. Not even us. How so? Because in the public consciousness, they should behave like an empire. If they agree on something or concede to someone, it is already perceived by the electorate as some kind of failure or a vacuum. So the elites are forced to behave in this way to some extent.
Today's conference could be seen as a complex blend of political messaging, defiance, strategic partnerships and firm domestic policies, all of which have been presented on Putin's chosen platform. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Let's now tell you about how the Russian President Vladimir Putin continues to profit massively from Africa's gold. Amid the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, once again the spotlight falling on the notorious Wagner Group, a private military company with deep ties to the Kremlin. According to the Blood Gold report released this month, the Blood report is a program launched in September to investigate links between Western mining companies, African authoritarian governments and Wagner mercenaries. And since the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, the Russian government has raked in over $2.5 billion from the African gold trade. The Wagner Group, known for its military and paramilitary operations, has gained exclusive rights to the mine in the Central African Republic, supporting an authoritarian regime there. Beyond the CAR, Wagner has also taken control of a major gold refinery in Sudan, becoming a dominant buyer of unprocessed gold. Reports indicate that Russian military planes have been smuggling gold out of Sudan, furthering the Kremlin's economic interests. The report highlights complex smuggling routes and corporate subterfuge used to move large quantities of blood gold from Africa to Russia and the UAE. In Mali, Wagner forces now paid in cash by the military junta are critical in maintaining the junta's control. This gold, often mined by Western companies, is laundered into international markets, indirectly financing Russia's global campaigns. Following Yevgeny Prigozhin's death, Wagner is now fully controlled by the Russian military, playing a major role in Ukraine and Africa. And as we dig deeper into the Wagner Group's operations, it becomes evident that their activities are not just about gold, they are about extending Russia's geopolitical influence. What if you can bring back the dead? I know that sounds like a loaded question, but what if artificial intelligence answers it for you? I'm not talking about chatbots or ChatGPT. I'm talking about the limitless possibilities that AI brings with it, to the extent that it can actually make the impossible possible. Like, for example, bringing back the dead. AI can now do that for you. If you don't believe me, take a look at this.
Mourners are using AI to resurrect the dead. This is Siku Wu. He and his wife lost their only child, Xuanmo, who was only 22. A sudden stroke took away his life and changed the life of Wu and his wife forever. Wu remembers his son as a keen sportsman, as someone who had a desire to help people and a sense of right and wrong. This kind of advancement of technology is not new, by the way, but it raises the same question as earlier. Is this right or wrong? Let me tell you what Wu did. He began researching ways to resurrect his son. He spent a lot of money hiring AI firms that basically cloned his son's face and voice. There's also a database that was created that had troves of information about his son. The aim would be to use this info to create an avatar that will copy his son's thinking and speech patterns. In fact, there are a lot of companies that have sprung up in the US recently. They focus on what are called ghost bots. In China, this industry is booming. You can shell out between 10,000 and 20,000 yuan. That's between $1,400 to $2,800 to create a basic avatar within about 20 days. Clients can also hold video calls with a staff member whose face and voice are digitally overlaid with those of their loved ones who are no more. Yet again, using such technology brings back the debate about ethics, about how it is a double-edged sword. Technology is trying to build new ways for us to remember those who we've lost. But the lines are blurring, they are murky. Resurrecting the dead as digital entities is no longer hypothetical. In fact, it is almost inevitable. But just because something can be done doesn't mean it should be. For starters, it may help with grief, but experts say in the long term it could be traumatizing. Imagine if you could just click a button and recreate a dead one. You would want to do it frequently. That doesn't help with the process of grief or moving on. Instead, you get stuck in a loop, losing touch with reality. But where does this stop? What do you think about the use of technology to bring back the dead? Write to us and let us know.
On that note, the wrap on this edition of Gravitas tonight. We're leaving you with Gravitas images. Thanks very much for watching.
Right, you. There you go. Yeah, got it that time. Well done. Look at that. Oh, man. Sure.
As democracy strengthens across the